I want to share with you a horrifying personal story that radically changed my own thinking and perceptions about the world and about myself. In 1978, I was around 19 years old when by a miracle a door opened for me to go to the United States for my undergraduate studies. As a student in a virtually all-white university, I managed to assimilate myself into the world of my new American friends and college mates fairly easily. Yet, it was in that period that I first came face to face with my own identity, not just as an African, but as a Black African. Something happened at the end of my first full year in the US that changed me. During the last week of the semester, about the time when students begin to worry about what they will do to make money during the long summer break, one of the older students invited me to an evening meeting that he himself would be attending. The meeting turned out to be a recruitment meeting where, for about an hour, a man skillfully presented what he referred to as the opportunity of a lifetime. It was an invitation to join a band of students from across America that would be trained and hired as direct sales agents for a successful publishing company based in Nashville, Tennessee. I didn't have any plans for the summer, and so I quickly signed up, even though I didn't fully understand what this was all about. So when the semester closed, I teamed up with a group of students for the long ride to Nashville, Tennessee, from Texas, where I was studying. We arrived in Nashville late in the evening and went straight into the big hall where we joined some 3,000 other students from across the country who were already there. There was a lot of excitement in the room, and I came to learn that many of them were there for the second, third, or even fourth year. It was actually a very intense week of learning. We worked hard. We studied volumes of material covering sales techniques, and we memorized our sales pitches and studied our products and practiced our presentations again and again. In between all this, we listened to motivational speeches and powerful testimonials from students who had come in previous years. At the end of the training week, we were divided into groups of 2 or 3 and assigned to different territories where we would be spending the summer walking from door to door with the mission of getting rich by selling as many books as possible. Me and 2 other students that I hadn't met before were assigned to a place called Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The 3 of us traveled in one car and decided to share a room in a small hotel in the town. The next morning, we separated and we started our new adventure, knocking on doors and trying our best to apply the sales techniques that we had learned in Nashville. It was hot and muggy, and for the first 2 days, I didn't manage to sell a single book. I went out on the 3rd day, beginning to feel a bit discouraged and wondering if I was really cut out for this kind of work. At around 2 p.m. that afternoon, I was sitting on the veranda, on the porch, with a lady going through my sales pitch when a police car pulled up on the street in front of the house. The policeman got out of the car and then slowly walked to where we were sitting. And he said, "Come with me, sir, and bring your stuff." I looked over at the lady and told her that I would be right back, and the policeman said, "No, he won't." And as he led me to the car, 4 other police cars drove around the corner, lights flashing. The policeman who had called me out there suddenly started reading me my rights. "You have the right to remain silent," he said. "Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You are being charged with breaking and entering. You have been described and identified by a lady in one of the cars back there." I leaned back to look, and the cop pushed me against the car and started frisking me. After a few minutes, he handcuffed me and bundled me into the car next to another policeman. We drove down to the police station, and I was frog-marched into the building. All this time, I had no idea what was going on. No one was explaining anything to me. After taking my photograph and emptying my pockets, I was led into a dirty, crowded cell where I ended up spending 7 long days and nights with 11 other older men. At the end of the cell was an open shower and a toilet without any privacy. I didn't sleep that first night. I had heard horror stories about life in American prisons, and I was frightened. For those 7 days, I felt abandoned and lonely. I had told the police that I was working for a Nashville-based publishing company, but the company said that they didn't know me. My relationship to them, they told the police, was that of an independent agent. I was not their employee. Sorry, there was nothing they could do to help. I had been allowed one phone call, and I used it to deliver a message to my 2 roommates at the hotel. They later claimed that they never got the message. On my second day there in the prison, I was taken out of the cell and introduced to a lawyer that the court had appointed to represent me. He was no help. I explained to him that I had done nothing wrong, but he insisted that I should just confess that his job was to do his best to convince the judge to reduce my sentence. I stuck to my story, and finally he walked out in a huff. My crime, I later came to learn, was being black on the wrong side of town. I should have known better, that there was a black America and a white America, and I belonged to neither. I'm not sure how this whole incident, this whole ordeal would have gone had it not been that on the 7th day, at the hearing, the lady who had charged me didn't show up, resulting in the case being dropped. I walked out of the Winston-Salem courthouse feeling angry and confused. I sat alone for a long time in a fast food restaurant, and I found myself longing for home. My young, innocent mind painted a picture of how life would be back home. I wanted to go back to Africa, where I would be judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character, and where there would be justice and equality, an opportunity for every African to grow and to prosper. I had a dream.